Everyone remembers Ripley versus the Queen, but here's the part nobody talks about. That scene, and the entire movie, almost never existed. On set, Cameron wasn't battling aliens. He was battling something far worse. A crew that revolted, a studio that tried to fire him, and a production so chaotic it nearly collapsed in the middle of shooting. What happened behind the scenes was scarier than anything on screen, and Hollywood has spent decades trying to bury it. This is the hidden war that almost destroyed Aliens. Behind the camera, James Cameron wasn't fighting aliens. He was fighting his own crew, a furious studio, a collapsing production, and a mutiny that nearly shut down the movie. And here's the part Hollywood never tells you. Aliens was one decision away from disaster, from being shut down, recast, or taken away from Cameron entirely. The stakes? The future of the franchise, Sigourney Weaver's career, James Cameron's reputation, and the fate of one of cinema's most beloved films. Stay with me, because this is the real story. How a young, unproven director survived betrayals, walkouts, sabotage, and studio panic to create a masterpiece. And the behind-the-scenes war that almost destroyed Aliens before a single xenomorph hit the screen. When Alien terrified audiences in 1979, no one expected a sequel. Ridley Scott had created something almost sacred, a slow-burn masterpiece of terror and atmosphere. Hollywood usually jumps at the chance to make a franchise, but with Alien, even Fox hesitated. How do you follow perfection? How do you make a sequel to a film that barely even showed the monster? Enter James Cameron, a hungry director who just made The Terminator a hit, but not enough to calm Fox's nerves. Cameron pitched something radical. Not a horror movie, a war movie. Instead of one alien, dozens. Instead of a claustrophobic stalker story, a full-on military assault. Fox reluctantly said yes and sent Cameron to Pinewood Studios in England with $18 million and a skeptical British crew. And that's when the real nightmare began. Cameron arrived expecting teamwork. What he got was open hostility. The British crew didn't trust him. They'd spent decades working with legends, and to them, James Cameron was that kid who made a cheap sci-fi movie. They ignored him, they mocked him, they took tea breaks, religiously, twice a day, right in the middle of shooting. To Cameron, it felt like sabotage. But the real explosion came from the cinematographer, Dick Bush, a respected veteran who clashed with Cameron on every frame. Bush wanted soft lighting, Cameron wanted darkness, grit, fear. After weeks of tension, Cameron did the unthinkable. He fired him. The crew went ballistic. Morale tanked. People whispered that Cameron was unstable, tyrannical, impossible to work with. At one point, half the crew walked off the set. Fox executives began asking a dangerous question. Should we fire Cameron? Even the cast was a battle. Sigourney Weaver nearly didn't return. Her agents demanded $1 million, unheard of for a sci-fi sequel at the time. Fox refused. Negotiations dragged on for months. Cameron put his foot down. No Ripley, no movie. Fox blinked first and paid up. But the stress added another layer of tension to a production already on fire. Meanwhile, Fox hated the early footage. Too dark, too intense, not commercial enough. Behind closed doors, executives drafted contingency plans to remove Cameron mid-shoot. The entire film was a coin flip away from disaster. Despite the chaos, something incredible was happening. Cameron put his Marine cast through a real military boot camp. Live fire drills, night maneuvers, weapons training. The actors bonded like an actual combat unit, and you can see it in every frame. The banter, the timing, the camaraderie, even Bill Paxton's legendary "Game over, man" was improvised on the spot. But the action scenes were brutal. Cameron insisted on real explosions, real debris, real sparks. During one shoot, a blast knocked actors off their feet. Their panic? Completely real. Cameron had one last idea. A fully practical 14-foot alien queen built from metal, hydraulics, and puppeteers hidden inside. Stan Winston's team worked miracles, but controlling it was hell. It overheated, broke constantly and took entire days to film a single shot. The British crew, who mocked Cameron for weeks, watched the Queen come to life, and suddenly, they weren't laughing anymore. Cameron's reputation kept growing. Iron Jim, a perfectionist, a tyrant, a genius. Crew members said they'd never work with him again. Actors described exhaustion, fear, breakdowns. But the truth is simple. Cameron saw the movie in his head, and nothing, not walkouts, not studio pressure, not sabotage, was going to stop him. When the first test audience watched Aliens, they lost their minds. Standing ovations, screaming, applause during the final battle. The studio that nearly fired Cameron suddenly pretended they supported him the whole time. Aliens made $180 million and won 2 Oscars. It turned Ripley into a feminist icon. It cemented Cameron as Hollywood's most dangerous and brilliant director. And that iconic scene, Ripley fighting the Queen in the power loader, almost didn't happen. Fox thought it was too expensive. Cameron threatened to walk. Fox caved. Good thing they did. It's now one of the most legendary moments in sci-fi history. Looking back, it's a miracle Aliens exists at all. A film that shouldn't have worked. A sequel no one believed in. A production where half the crew wanted the director gone. But the chaos didn't ruin the film. It forged it. If you're a fan of Aliens, drop your favorite moment in the comments. And if you want more wild behind-the-scenes stories from Hollywood's most chaotic productions, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because the greatest movies, they're almost always made in absolute chaos.